and the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
American history, at least what these classes decide to teach us, is made up of war and politics and inequality. It seems, in a lot of ways, pretty boring and devastating and hopeless. But we're all Americans. We're all a part of American history, and we're all influenced by the past, whether we like it or not. Right now, think of your favorite person, dead or alive. Did you say Nathaniel Bacon? No, you didn't. I can bet a lot of you chose something more like a musician you play, maybe Taylor Swift or Kendrick Lamar or even Elton John. Otherwise, maybe it was an athlete or someone in your real life whom you love or tolerate. Maybe you chose a religious figure. Here's the thing. Those are all art, they're all culture, and they're all what really makes up American history. And so, let me introduce a historical figure that altered art and culture in America. My nomination for the APUSH Wall of Fame is Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was born Andrew Warhola in 1928 to a working-class immigrant family. He wasn't born into a super American Mayflower Jamestown kind of family, sure, but most of us weren't. That's got to give him a few authenticity points. His family had chased the American dream, and Andy got to live it, kind of. Like all great artists, he spent a lot of time in his childhood bedridden from some strange and disabling disease nobody's ever heard of before. This, clearly, gave him time to become a prodigy and capture the attention of his family and friends for the work he produced in art classes and at home. He grew up and went to art school. Once he graduated, he knew it was time to make his mark on the culture of New York City and America and the world. He penned advertisements and coloring books while he waited for his break. Andy Warhol was a homosexual. If you're homophobic now, just imagine the backlash he faced as an outed gay man in the 50s and 60s when homophobia was super cool. He got hate crimed. In addition to this, he created erotic and boldly sensual artwork that added to the developing, increasingly sexual art culture the nation and the world now embraces for models, photography, and films. Uncomfortable, sure. We're taught to be pretty prudish in a school setting, but sexuality is a defining part of the United States today, and Warhol was one of the revolutionaries who caused this. He was a film artist as well as a painter. He directed many long and artistically liberty-taking movies at a time where using photography and moving pictures was not a traditionally expressive way to do things. He experimented with camera angles, unfocusing, authentic dialogue, and the capturing of real life. He was a minimalist, fascinated with underdogs, similar to basically all media today, and wanted to create movies that captured real people. One of his most famous quotes is that, in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. So, he is the coiner of the phrase, 15 minutes of fame. Warhol's work is not limited to visuals. Most Americans can't name too many visual artists, nor artworks. It's sometimes difficult for colors and shapes to elicit the same emotion that, say, a song does. Andy Warhol influenced, collaborated with, and was close friends with many household names in music to this day. He created an album cover for the Rolling Stones, a gorgeous vinyl cover for Aretha Franklin, inspired an entire song by David Bowie, which Warhol actually hated, dined with Janis Joplin, collaborated on an entire album with the Velvet Underground and Nico, and was an icon for Patti Smith and many other artists who resided in the Chelsea Hotel, yes, like in the Taylor Swift song, and around New York. Many of his famous works are ones you would recognize today. If you don't, you can suck my really cool hand-selected pieces of his artwork that you should be aware of. He is the mind behind the soup cans, this portrait of Marilyn Monroe, and this entire genre of pop art. I don't know about you, but I see this still, to this day, in advertising, on social media, and inspiring half of the artwork lining hallways and Mrs. Norrie's classroom. Do you see art lining the school about the Homestead Act? Respectfully, you do not. So, who is truly, in the end, more important than an artist who changed what you see right now? Vote for Andy Warhol because he made a real wave for real people, one that lasts through today and into tomorrow.